Well, we're back live and in studio. What an awesome season and time to be alive. Well, nobody know what it means to be dead if you're still talking, but what a great time and in this dispensation and this era that God would see fit to save the best wine for last. And I am so excited about our episode, our podcast, Safe Space. And everybody need a safe space. Safe space. Why safe space? Because people need a space to unpack. People need a space to let the trauma, the drama, because unhealed trauma creates drama that creates mess and accidents unintentionally and intentionally. This is your prophetic purpose pusher, Pastor D. And we are in studio. We're going to continue the conversation. I know you probably have heard our first two episodes, and it was so good that I say, let's do a third part. When God breathed on something, you stay in that strode, that strive. You don't break the pattern, you don't break the strive. You want to just ride that wave of life. And in studio, we have our own a Charlatan, Pastor Darryl Brown in studio. Some call him Pete. If you're in Charlotte, you know who that is. Okay, so we're going to give a shout out to our fellow Charlotteans. And he is born and bred, us, we transplant. But we're going to pick up the story and then we're going to talk, time permits, about what God is doing in this season. But I wanted Pastor Brown to go ahead and introduce himself. We're going to talk about mating, how he found his mate, and how the ruined places in his life was rebuilt. Yes. The scripture talking about rebuilding the ruins and rebuilding the old waste places. Yes. So this is a story of redemption and triumph, and our apostle preached a message, a polluted beginning, but a powerful ending. And so we're in the middle of his book, the middle of his life. We know we're not at the end yet, but we're in the middle of the story. And I want you to know that if you're listening for the first time, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple iTunes, we are on BuzzFeed, we are on every platform, every available voice. Shout out to my fellow Caribbeanites that have been so faithful in listening. Hello, to my family, they tune in, they have missed some episode and they're like, what's going on? So thank you. Thank you. And if you're tuning in for the first time, pull up a chair, hit the like and subscribe button. If you are on YouTube, Facebook Live, you've been faithful, you're followed, and I like it. I like it a lot because our bishop always say, and our apostle says, if you have something to say, then say it. And you may not get a lot of opportunity to do that. So when you get the mic, you don't throw the mic back and you don't waste any time. And so I'm excited. So in our last podcast, Pastor Brown talked about his upbringing, how he came into being and how he didn't know his father and he was a child of the community. How many people can identify with that? Where we had a big family, where we had our mothers and our aunties and our uncles and our cousins and aunties that we weren't related to raising us and our grandparents. And so we're back in that era where grandparents are now raising children in their retirement. And so it's creating a lot of devastation. So even though we have technology and even though we're advanced as a culture and a society, we see that some things we're backpedaling in terms of relationship, in terms of family. We have more technology, but the family lays ruin. That's right. And so Pastor Brown, go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'm going to recap, and then we're going to just dive in, and we're going to allow the Spirit of grace. We're just going to allow him who is sent
Yes.
to just navigate this conversation. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, I'm Darryl Brown, and of course, as has been mentioned, the pastor at Charlotte Emmanuel Church of All Nations. Thank God for you, Pastor Williams and Bishop Rick Williams and Apostle Williams, my leaders in the faith, and not only that, but my mentors. Being a Charlottean, it's been a wonderful journey seeing seeing the transition from a small country city to now a big city, which we have teams, go Panthers, go Hornets, I'm still a supporter of those. And not only that, but seeing the transition of the city from someone that would be, let me say, I have a bird's eye view of that growth.
That's good.
And in this church era, I've seen growth.
Good.
I've seen people who have come and I've seen people who have left, but I've also seen the prophetic established. I've seen us now have sort of a footprint as far as the national identity goes. We are now a hub city.
All right. Well, I like that. So we're going to put a pin in that. So you hear the Charlottean just giving this city a shout out. And we also know that one of the city council person that have navigated our city have now gracefully bowed out after about 18 years.
Yes.
So we have transition going on in families, transition going on in our city, transition going on in the church, transition going on in our nation and in the world. So we have a transition going on. But before we get to transition, I want to talk to you about the last time your story picked up. You talked about how you were a child of the community and how there was a particular woman of God that helped to navigate that. And as I was pondering our interview, I thought about hugs. I thought about embrace. In science and in psychology, it's noted that a child that is not hugged, a child that is not comforted, a child that doesn't get that intimate touch, sometimes is troubling in how they navigate life because of lack of intimacy, lack of connection, and the thread of your life where you were raised by the community and you had two kind of pattern. You had the church representation and then you had the world representation.
Yes.
You went to the military. Things went down. If you want to hear that story, you're going to have to listen to part 1 and part 2 because we have to kind of move along. And it's a captivating story of redemption and
Yes.
loss and grace and God's love and victory. So as we were talking about the story, I want you to pick up. So you came back after life threw you a curveball. You were also helped to start a trade. And so you had a trade. You came to church. And now you're unlearning and relearning and being retooled for life and for living. Not just church.
That's right.
Life and living. Because now you have gotten pieces from different places. And so your life is still a shattered mess in all different pieces. And so now you came to us. You came to the ministry.
Yes.
So we're going to get caught up. And our apostle, our great apostle, Apostle Brian Keith Williams, my apostle, your apostle, who came to the city and said that the Lord said to gather the lost sheep.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but when I heard that, because we came to the church round about the same time.
Yes.
I was at the first service.
Yes.
And I was like, lost. Ain't nobody lost here. Lost. I mean, I was like, lost. I'm not lost.
Right.
But anyways, that sound in his voice captivated.
Yes.
More so than the words that were saying. There was a DNA, there was an anointing, there was a compelling, there was a push, there was a drawing of his voice, that drew us.
Yes.
it drew us from different places. And my God, were we lost? Were we lost? We couldn't identify prophetic. I mean, we are the Bible Belt. How are you going to call us lost when we've established religion
And tradition.
and tradition?
Yes.
And so you came, and I remember that you were serving alongside of us. Now, I want to talk to you about relationship. It would be remiss of me not to put it back together before we start talking about the landscape of transition. So here you are, and you're in the church, and the money was missing,
Ooh,
and you were late for the first time,
yes,
and I was overseeing the money.
yes,
And I'd set some protocols and I'd set some best practice in place, and the bank said there was no money.
yes.
And so that morning, the people that handled the money, we marched to the bank.
That's right.
Seeing that I had some banking experience, first they were telling us that it was missing, but once the experience came into play, telling them that this is what happened, and they got the manager,
Yes,
they backtracked, and several churches deposit was missing,
that's true.
and businesses, and they were able to find that they had forced balance that day, that the branch was out of whack, but we were able to find the money.
Yes,
And
so true.
and my husband at the time was not my husband, said, do not tell our apostle. But accountability,
Yes,
protocol,
yes,
it was my responsibility to inform the captain, the person in charge, that here are some discrepancies. We're working it out, but I need you to be aware.
yes.
Of course, that didn't go over really nicely, and we're not going to talk about that. But I stand true to that because integrity and money and character has a way of coloring things. And anybody that knows me know that I don't do grays. I don't do grays. For anything, I don't do.
Money don't lie.
Money don't lie, only people lie, right? Numbers don't lie, people lie that handles the numbers. So that's my philosophy. So now you're here and you're in the mating dating game. Talk to me about relationships, since their relationship with your mom was fractured and was being restored.
Yes,
And you had grandma who was a connector also in that relationship, keeping family together and cooking for us on Sunday,
yes.
and holding a space for us. But here you are on the hunt looking for a mate. Talk to me about your process.
Okay, well, I hope you don't mind. One thing is that I didn't know that there was a system. So my idea is that you see, you pick, you get with relationship wise, but I had no idea it was a system. And while we were counting money together, you used to always say, I'm getting off the single bus.
Yes.
So we would look and be like, okay, now she keeps saying she's getting off the single bus, but we didn't know that there were certain things that had to be in place. First of all, you said integrity. The integrity of the person lifts the boat.
Yes.
So those that are down below that standard, they can't get on the boat if the boat is lifted.
I like that. Go ahead,
So
sir.
we had to have sort of dialogue in order for it to be a system established. I couldn't go back to the old way
Yes.
of just select and, whatever you
You
see.
tried that and it didn't work.
Definitely tried.
And every time you come to me, I'll
Yes.
say, let that go.
Yes,
That's not it.
that's not it.
Look good.
That's the word. That's not it.
That's not it. Look
But
good, but it ain't gone.
It's coming, but that's not it.
It look good, but it ain't
Yes.
gone. Smells good, but it ain't gone.
Yes, and some of them were luring.
Oh, wow.
They were not there as far as, the presentation was good, but they were alluring a entity. And in a sense, when the eyes start to see, you don't know the inside work.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God that we were insulated.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God the system was put in place through apostle and through leadership and through me and you conversing, and I'll never forget, you prophesied to me. We were just in the middle of counting money, and you stopped and you looked at me and you prophesied. And it was through that prophecy, and then you told me, now you have to war over the prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the ability now to not just see, but to also understand that if I implement this system, like I said, no, we're going to be celibate.
Yeah.
We're going to be holy.
Not touchy.
Right.
We're
Gonna
not
keep it
peeking, we're
standing.
not tasting, we're not touching.
Right.
We ain't gonna do the Eve and Adam thing.
Yeah, but in a lot of churches, that's not established. So to look behind the curtain a little bit, but in that sense.
How did that make you feel, seeing that you are a man that, knew the streets?
Yes.
And here you have, now you're clean, now you're dressed up, now you're smelling good. Nobody knows your history, but you look good because you're a church man now. You have the church walk, the church talk, and you're a good student, by the way, walk. How did that, talk to me about internally when we were having dialogue and I was saying to you, we can't employ those street ways. How did that make you feel, seeing that you had a pick of the bunch because they were coming at you?
Yes, but again, from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
the outside feels like I'm missing out. I'm never going to find that person. The outside is saying, quick, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Or in other words, this is not a time to sit around and sort of, implement a system. No, she's right there.
Yeah.
And I know you remember I came in and one of the young ladies at one of the grocery stores had started approaching me, and she gave a good church talk, of course, and I invited her out, and she never could find time to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And in my eyes, I was like, this looks like the one, this seems to be the one. Why is it that, I can't? And I came back in and I prayed.
Then you have the banker?
Yes, the banker.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they all fit the scenario.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were letting me know she's probably right here close. Don't blow it. And that was the relationship part that I want to express to a lot of the men.
Go ahead.
Because if you have that relationship with Christ and with yourself, then people will come in. But the thing is they can't hang on. So they have no rights to what you have built up. You say we got seed in the ground. So if you got seed in the ground, you don't go in and pull the dirt up to see what the seed is producing.
Yeah.
The seed is actually programmed to produce in you the right person that can find the right person that can match that. And that integrity was yet to be unfolded. So I had some learning to do. I had to empty myself, in a sense. I had to walk in integrity, even knowing, like you said, it's the pick of the litter, but it is easy to blow it.
It is easy to blow. And
It's
I said to you, you can't match street. I said, you don't need street. I said, after being in the street, you will be back in the street if you pick the street.
Exactly. Or you'll be at a church somewhere and then you'll just languish basically all of the integrity that you have built. And through God's grace, what was amazing was we were really getting taught at such a high level that a lot of the things that were really affecting others, I saw that it was really taking them out.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't something that was casual. It was literally, it was there to rob, destroy. And I said, I can't go down that pathway.
Yeah.
And thank God for men and, men of integrity that embraced also. So the thing is when time and everything matched up, then that's when the right one appeared.
Okay, so talk to us now. We're not going to spiritualize this little part here. So talk to me about, everything is spiritual about us, but the real talk, take the gloves off when after you had the pick of the litter, they were coming at you and you were like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, like, my God, they look good, they smell good. Good women, good potential. They had all the signs of the fig. They had the signs of the budding, blooming, blossoming. They had the sign. But when you saw the person that you chose and you selected, talk to me about when did you know? So to help our men of God who are now coming off the street and wanting to do it right, and the women are right in front of them and they're singing the praises of God and they look good and they're available and they want to be married to and they want a spouse. Nothing wrong with that. And talk to me about the first time you now says, this is the one right here.
Right. With that, it's a funny incident because I was actually, that day, I was armor bearing apostle. And so I had seen this individual, and of course, in various ways, I was real close to her mother, so, there was some interaction as far as that goes.
Yes.
But this particular day, being back in the hallway, no one else is around, she comes around the corner. And instantly, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say something. But what I said was not what I intended to say.
What you said?
But basically, I told a joke.
It didn't go over well.
Yeah, she didn't laugh.
She's a Southern Belle, so it didn't work. This ain't no street chick.
So when I told the joke and she didn't laugh, it was intriguing.
Okay, wait a minute. You told a joke and she didn't laugh?
Yeah, the charm didn't work.
Oh my goodness.
She didn't laugh.
She didn't even look and laugh.
She kept straight.
She kept straight.
Yeah, and that was intriguing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it was like about maybe a month or two later, and she came back in and I was making another attempt. And so I mentioned to her, I said, they have tapes over here and, this tape ministry. So I was showing her the various tapes and, like we had CD tapes.
You want to tell her you're a student of the word.
Yeah.
You're showing off your good side.
Right. So then what happened is that, again, I'm standing at the door. She went out and bought a tape.
Okay.
But she didn't tell me she was buying the tape, but she went and bought the tape and came back and presented the tape to me.
Oh, she bought a tape and gave it to you.
And gave it to me.
Do you remember the name of the series? Because you're a man of the word.
Well, that series at that time was it was dealing with Achievement to the Nines.
Achievement to the Nines. A classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 different sessions.
Yeah.
But anyway, like you said, it was powerful, but what she did really sort of keyed me in to what type of person she was.
Okay.
Because she went and bought the word and came back, and I explained it to her, I get all the tapes. So, I was trying to say that, but something said, no, keep your mouth quiet. And God was working on something at the same time.
Yeah.
Because she started traveling.
Yes.
And so I didn't ask her for her number. I didn't ask her for her information.
Did you go through the back door or the front door?
I didn't go through the back door or the front door. I went and prayed, literally. And so she kept coming up as far as you need to contact her. So I got in contact with her while she was in a different country. The integrity that was instilled was not to look, not to gaze, not to go outside, but it's similar to what Isaac had. The experience that Isaac was dealing with is that it was people who understood what his heritage was. So not to go outside of that heritage, but you always said it was in the house. And so using that method, literally, I started just asking her, how you doing? Sort of small talk. But at the same time, it was things that was being released that I had no clue at the time.
Yes.
Was being released and a connection was being formed.
Yes.
Now, as a result of sort of opening the door, every time I would see her, it was another way to sort of peel back.
How long did you pursue before we start having a conversation?
8 years. You gotta remember, she had her and I had mine. At the same time, it was 8 years.
Wait a minute.
8 years.
You pursued her 8 years.
8 years.
My God.
Before the actual first.
Yeah, 8 years. My God, new beginnings. I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know how many men could hold on for so long, but 8 years. My God.
8 years.
what were you doing in the process of 8 years? Were you kind of playing the field? Were you kind of still looking at your options? Or were you like praying in the wilderness like for 8 years, hoping she would give you some play?
Well, this was the interesting part because she was pursuing other avenues.
Okay, she was looking for somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, just let's cut through the chase.
Yes.
I mean, she was looking at somebody else,
Right.
and you were not an option at that time, she thought.
At that time.
Yeah. And so you were not an option 8 years, because 8 years, I mean, come on. I mean, you are not Wonder Woman, Bionic Woman.
Yeah.
You're not that. So 8 years, she's looking elsewhere. She's
Yeah.
pursuing something else. And what were you doing within those 8 years, man of God?
Well, within those 8 years, what was happening was, as I said, things were being revealed because.
Wait, what? I mean, it's 8 years.
Yes, but.
And you're a man. 8 years. I mean,
Yeah.
you're saved, but you ain't. I mean, you're saved, but you're a man. You're Adam.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 years. What are you doing? Like gazing in the Bible? What are you
No.
doing?
8 years, it was relationships that budded outside, not with her.
Okay, so no, all right, wait. I mean, like, take the gloves off, because you're married now. Look, because you're helping people. So
Yeah.
8 years, within those 8 years, she's looking at somebody else. You're looking at your option because it's in the back of your head that she's a possibility.
Yeah.
She ain't giving you no play, and she ain't giving you no play.
she ain't
None
doing that right.
whatsoever.
No, this is holding back, hey. Nope.
She ain't giving you no play. She
I'm
like,
sure of that.
you ain't the one. You know, and you ain't the one, but you're saying you're God's plan.
Yeah.
But 8 years, so you have that in the back of your head, but you're looking at the landscape too, like, okay, she's playing hard to get.
Yes.
She's playing coy.
Yes.
She's been demure,
Yes.
and she is pursuing something else. So both of you now are looking at options, right?
Yes.
And in that meantime, there are different women that are presenting themselves that possibly could be the
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Did frustration at any time within those 8 years come up because she's highlighting, or it's just in the back of your head? Help me to understand.
Well, this is the process because, again, I'm not necessarily looking,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm discovering different, like when you go to a different church and you see somebody and you talk to someone and you think it's a relationship, but then you find out it's not.
Okay, so you
So-
were looking too. So
No, I wasn't looking.
what were you doing then? I mean, we can't be spiritual. It's a courting system.
Yes.
And these men needs to be encouraged and women need to be encouraged. So while she said you ain't the one in posture and in her pursuit, she's
Yes.
looking at different person because, I mean, here she is at a Southern Belle, and here you are with your history, albeit. And so now when you go to different places, you'll see a possibility like this might be something possible or probable, but then it turned out to be nothing.
Yes. Now,
Go ahead.
let me share this because, see, if I go to a church,
Mhm.
that guy is single.
Yes.
You need to talk to him. Or,
Matchmakers.
right,
Matchmakers.
matchmakers come out.
Yes.
Then you have different friends who have gatherings.
Matchmakers.
So now, all of a sudden, you're at and here comes the young lady, and she say, here's my number.
Matchmakers.
So it's not like I'm saying I want you, or I got something that I can agree with or identify about you. But it's something that is just intriguing because I don't know when God's gonna move. I don't know if God is in this process. I'm still weak in the area of trying to discern. But at the same time, it's something on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I come to church, as I come do these different events, as I go out, you remember we started traveling?
Mm-hmm.
And then every time we start traveling, what happens?
Somebody else would show their head, and I would say,
No.
that ain't it. That ain't it.
In Haiti.
That ain't it.
This is trying to throw the young lady on me.
And I was like, you better baby powder and all that stuff. Pretty girl too, young girl too.
Put the apple
Well, we mission work and yeah. And but not just in Haiti, it was in Sunday services. Women would make themselves available or
Right.
let you know. Nothing is wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so now,
Come sit on the front row.
sit next
right
to
beside
you.
Yeah.
It's smelling good, looking
Yeah.
good. The choices were
Just
plenty.
birthday.
First day, plenty. But when before she became your wife, when now catch us up to speed, it's been a long years. And now she's giving you some play.
Yes. But here's the funny part about that also.
Yes.
Because again, I'm trying to use not necessarily pursuit, but what I'm looking at is I'm looking at a person that has a different demeanor.
Okay.
I'm looking at a person that has a different attitude.
Ain't nothing you ever had.
Right. So as I'm looking, it was one day that she came and we were at Grandin Road, and somebody said, "Have you seen the church?" And so it was like, "No, I haven't seen the church." And so she came in and she was talking to Bishop Rick Williams, and she said, "I haven't seen the church." And I was at his desk. He said, "Okay." He said, "Go take her and show her upstairs and show her around." So here I am. I'm showing her around, and it's like a different energy.
Okay.
It's like
she feeling you.
Yes.
She liking you.
Right. So I'm sort of like, oh wow. So then,
so you're internally excited, but externally you're the man of God.
But I'm the man.
Yeah.
I got the keys. I can show you in the room, and I can tell you this. I got it going.
You got power.
Right now, all of a sudden, okay.
You elevated from deacon to elder. Yeah.
So now it's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
So through that, I was able to, let me say, glean a little bit more information.
Oh, you were gathering.
Yes.
Data.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I asked her, I said, maybe I could take you and your mom out.
Oh, you included the mom.
Yes.
Oh, you playing games.
Yes, I know how to play the game. This ain't
the player came out.
Here,
the old player came out. So you were doing the church thing, but now you don't have to play. So
still we hadn't exchanged numbers or that.
Yeah, but that opened the door, like take your mom too. Safety net.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, it's like, okay, but I'm leaving.
Yes.
I'm leaving to go to another assignment. So
yes.
I say, no problem. It's no pressure.
Yeah.
But that was put out.
Yeah.
So now that whole energy and everything changes, the whole prayer changes, the whole dynamic of what am I looking for? What, how you make a list?
Yeah, hook up.
Yeah, the list gone.
Yeah, because you got keys.
Yeah, the list gone.
Yeah, and she heard you praying now.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So this next episode that really just takes on a whole life of itself was when she came and I said, okay, this is the time.
Mm.
So that's when I asked. She said, okay.
You asked for what? Or number or what? Or asked for?
This is now to get a little bit more, let me say, fact gathering. So this is more to get closer to the date stage.
Okay.
But not date stage, but court stage.
So we playing games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just in town for a
short time.
Mm-hmm. And so, of course, it's closer to Christmas, but I said, I know that Christmas is probably with family. So let's schedule it right after Christmas. And I don't know if you know, but I came and I told you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me what to wear. You told me, you said, clean up, dude. You gave me some specifics.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
I said, you can't go out like that now.
Yeah.
You don't have to do some stuff different.
You gave me some good, very good information, vital information. But again, I was looking at it more from the standpoint of I was just going to try it was a fact find.
Yeah.
And what happened was every last plan I made did not succeed.
Okay, so it blew up in your face.
Yes.
So talk to us about the first time that you went out and she is now entertaining your pursuit.
Yes. Well, this is what's happening on the level of I took her out to go to we went to South Park, was going to macaroni family, the
Macaroni grill.
cheesecake factory.
Mhm.
So we didn't get to go. We actually walked through the mall and we went to a pizza shop.
Okay.
And when we went to the pizza shop, I started asking her questions, and the questions that I was asking her was not questions that necessarily I needed to have answered.
Yeah.
But the response from her was, "This is open."
Yeah.
But at the same time, she was informing me, I'm not looking for a relationship.
Okay.
But I'm so glad that that was said.
Yes.
Because literally what happened was, is again, not only did I have information, but I also had an opening. And the opening that I had was basically saying that, it's not now, but it could be going on the right track.
Okay.
And for men who are actually pursuing, you remember Apostle Williams preached, maximize masculinity,
Mhm.
and then he preached about the femininity.
Yes.
And he say men like to chase.
Yeah.
That's the.
Oh,
part
you
that
like
I'm
the
on.
chase, because
It's
now,
the chase.
now before you would get the play without playing,
Right.
but now you're chasing.
Yeah.
8 years and she's been coy and she's
Yeah.
telling you, I'm not ready for any relationship, but we can talk. I like the conversation because you're a good conversationalist.
Yeah.
And so you're having conversation. But when did the door open? When like, look,
Yes.
you the one.
Yeah.
Talk to us about you the one. Because
Okay.
we've had a long story, 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, we tired. Now,
Yeah.
how did we get to you the one?
But that actual meeting, what we decided was is that we're not in a relationship, we're not courting. But I mentioned to her, when you go on your next assignment, I say, who knows, I might go with you.
Okay.
So she had her next assignment was Alaska.
Yeah.
So I think it was close to my birthday. It was close to my birthday. She said, how about you come to Alaska? And of course I submitted, and y'all agreed and gave me some instructions. And so here I am on a plane going to Alaska. And it was during my birthday that we had a real falling out.
Yeah.
And when we had the falling out, it was so funny because what happened was that I think she was feeling something and I was feeling something, but we didn't know how to come together as far as what we was feeling.
You weren't giving her the energy she wanted.
Yeah.
And you were so cautious
Yeah.
that you kind of ticked her off.
Yeah.
Like, I brought you here to
Yeah.
Alaska and you're playing church and you're playing coy and you're doing all this talking, but I didn't invite you to Alaska. 12 hours for you to be coy.
Yeah.
Now, ask me.
And I'm putting the romance on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
I was putting the romance on. I went and set up where it was actually, she put me in this very expensive, very exclusive hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go all around the hotel and pick up little tidbits. And so I found out the best restaurant. I found out where, things she would particularly like. So I bought her a little stuffed dog, and it was a purse, but I bought it. And then I had the people in the store to hide it. And so I told her, I said, while we're waiting for the restaurant, let's go in the store. And they didn't know, but then they started saying, how did you like this? And they showed it, and she said, oh, I love it. And it was like, it's yours. So he got it for you. He came in early. And she was like, what? This joker playing me. And so that night I was leaving, and what was said was is that I don't know what you expect. She said, but I want you to know that I enjoyed it. This was good, but I don't know.
Okay.
So when I come back to Charlotte and I'm praying, it was 5 a.m. prayer. And it was like God said, now it's time for the next move or else move on.
Woo! 8 years is time for the next move.
Yes.
Or move on.
Or move on.
Okay, so what did you do?
So when she came from Alaska, I picked her up at the airport.
Yeah.
But Holy Spirit, thank God for the Holy Spirit, I stopped and got one rose. So when I picked her up, I was in the flex, I put the rose on the top.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what that means? She said, it's a red rose. And I said, well, I got it. I said, if you want to take it to the next level, then when you get out, take the rose with you.
Oh, look at you, Casanova.
Leave it up.
I
And
like it.
When I got to her house to drop her off, she got out and then she said, stop. And she grabbed the rose.
Oh my. Hard to get, huh?
Get out of here.
You are a patient man.
But a system,
Yes.
God has systems in place that literally allows you to say that I'm close to it,
Yes.
but I can't touch it.
Because I'm giving you, what I'm giving you is something you're not used to.
Yes,
And in order for you to handle this precious gift,
yes,
then I need to teach you some things in the process while I'm breaking you and chipping off
that's a good
some
word.
carnal things off of you
Yes,
and some false expectation
yes,
and some faulty foundation.
yes,
I need you to be in the fiery furnace so that I can burn off of you those false expectations. I
right,
can burn off of you what you think relationships should be, because your expectation or what you thought relationship should be, you've never had this before.
never,
And so now she says yes, she took the rose
yes,
and she's wide open, her heart is open to you.
yes,
And now take us to the engagement. So her heart is open. It's new for her, it's new for you. So it's beautiful because both of you are new, both of you are navigating this new terrain. God is in it. And then now you got her. Life is sweet.
yes,
You did all this stuff. We're
Yeah.
behind the scene coaching you,
yes,
and all the step of the way. And now you are ready to propose.
yes. And that's very interesting because me and you we had a lot of conversations. And what happens is God starts to speak through you, but at the same time, I'm not privy to how this literally works.
Yes.
So she's actually in a foreign country. I'm going to just say visit her, but before I go pick the ring up.
Yes.
And as I pick the ring up, then I'm hearing some of the things you said, some of the things that Bishop said, some of the things that I picked up from other places. And all of this is being incorporated and downloaded.
Yeah.
Not in the instance of, okay, when you go and propose this way or act this way or do this way, but it's like the Holy Spirit is saying no, because what I'm getting ready to do, man cannot have any input in.
Yeah.
This is going to be strictly spiritual led.
Yeah.
So right there, this was February the 14th. I'm talking to people, but nobody's making sense now.
Yes.
So I go down to it's a dock on this island. I go down and I'm sitting on the rock and I'm looking over this beautiful landscape and I'm saying to God, am I making a mistake? Am I not hearing from you? I mean, what is it? And it's almost like, send me a sign.
Yes.
And as I'm sitting there, now she took off that day
Mm-hmm.
and she let me have it. I'm down on the dock and I'm thinking to myself, is this the right time? I'm going through all of that. And while I'm sitting there, a little wave comes up and splashes, and the water never comes up that high. It hits me. That all of a sudden, God just sent me a sign.
Like, wake up.
Yes. So I called one of my best friends on the island and I set it up. I said, listen, I'm going to take her out. I'm going to have you with the camera and we're going to do this and do that. And he was like, well, I'm doing Valentine's too. So I went downtown. When I went downtown, I'm talking to a person. And as I'm talking to this person, she works around jewelry and, she was one of my wife's friends, but I didn't know it. She tell me, she said, you're proposing? I said, no, I'm thinking about it. I said, this is the ring. She said, oh, that's beautiful. I talked to her, so I talked to the lady at the front, and she told me, she said, this is, where you should go.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, they're rushing me out, not knowing that they were rushing me out because my wife was literally coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is, I'm talking to these two individuals. That night, my wife switched plans. So instead of going to the place where I got the cameraman set up and all of this stuff set up, she switched plans. So now we're at a totally different place. And the first time I walk in the restaurant, guess who I see? The lady that I was talking to at the counter. The people she's with, they have a professional photographer. So I went back over to her and I was like, I said, can you help me out? And she said, sure. I tell them what I want to do. I tell the maitre d'. They give us a special spot. It's way back. It's a beautiful restaurant, and we're way back at the back, and they're just sort of coy and waiting on me. And so I was sitting up there thinking to myself, I said, this is not going as planned, but something is in the works.
Yeah.
So the minute that there was a break, it was like the gentleman with the cameras comes up, and he said, now, I didn't prompt him. He said, y'all look so wonderful together. Can I just take your picture? And he pulled this big camera out. And while he was setting up to take the picture, I was down on one knee.
Slow to move, 8 years. Yeah, down on one knee. How long did she make you wait? You can find the ring. Yeah.
Couldn't find the
8
ring.
years, yeah.
And she looked at me and she said, get up off your knees and stop playing. I said, I'm not playing.
They can't find the ring, yeah.
I find the ring.
Yeah.
And he's there. And the whole restaurant now has gathered around.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to propose to her with the cameraman.
Yes.
And then she says yes.
Wow, what a holy moment.
And it was February the 14th.
Oh, wow.
So that is a significant date.
For you.
Yes.
The beginning of beginnings.
Beginning of when I joined Charlotte Emanuel, it was February the 14th, the first meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beginning of beginnings.
Yeah.
So you were slow to believe, slow to move, slow to follow, slow to pursue.
Yeah.
And as we're coming up to this end of this segment, she said yes.
Yes.
No hanky-panky, no playing around, no touching, no sizing up, no feeling it. It's 8 long years of both of you slowly moving in that direction, and you allowing the Holy Spirit to prune you and prove you and purify you and position you into your possibilities. And so here you are. She said yes on an island, and your life began. The new chapter in your life began, where you now propose, and you are getting ready to come off the single bus. And take a wife. And so I want to encourage people that, I keep going back to sermons that our apostle preached, a polluted beginning, but a powerful ending. And so though your childhood was painful, problematic, and prison, and people on both sides, the church and the world, and you were drawn, and then people escorted you into your destiny by giving you a trade, and you learning a trade, and you were now able to pay for the things that you wanted. And you were growing in ministry, you're feasting on the word, you're eating up every sermon, and you and I would listen to every sermon, and then we would preach it back to one another, right? As if we preached it. And we were supposed to be doing God's business, but we would preach back to one another, prophesy to one another, and the word was cementing in us. And so now she accepted your proposal after 8 years, and you were satisfied with your choice. Now, people of God, if you're listening, sometimes it's going to look like you're hitting a detour. Sometimes it looks like your life has been a devastation. It's going to look like things have destroyed you. You're going to look like you were redirected, and you might think, okay, there's no use, no sense in trying, because I'm not getting the play I want. I'm not getting the pursuit I want. This person is rejecting me. But no, when God has a plan for your life and there's a promise in it, it takes on a different tone, because it's for ministry, it's for God's purpose. And I can testify that I've seen you grown. I have seen you being shot out like an arrow. I have seen the man of God that was always in you. See, but because when God birthed us,
Oh, yeah.
All of the possibilities are in us.
Yeah.
When we are born, all the gifting is in us. It
Yeah.
takes somebody to come alongside of us and help to prophesy that gift and call it into the earthly
Right.
manifestation. And so sometimes people think that they put it in us. No, God, the Holy Spirit, is a possessor of all
That's
gifts,
right.
and He gives us gifts, but it takes a human agent to come alongside and to prophesy as God agent,
Right.
prophesy on the strings and tell you, come up and come alive.
Yeah.
And that gift, and I've seen apostles do that with us.
Yes.
It's like we were minding our own business, doing whatever we think and ebbing and flowing. And He'll come and say, God said this. And the trajectory of our lives just start shifting. So I want you to know, as we're going to take a break, and you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, what an exciting story that this man of God didn't know his daddy. His mama didn't raise him. He was raised in the community, first dropped out of school, came back, finished school.
Yeah.
The person that he thought, the principal, died, but had signed his degree and his diploma, and he was able to get that satisfaction of having a high school diploma, went to the military, messed up, made a holy mess because of the trauma in his life, came back, somebody else, another destiny helper, came alongside, taught him a trade, and then another destiny helper came alongside and said, come to this church, and another destiny helper, and he came to us.
Yes.
And his destiny starts to unfold. Until the next time. This is your prophetic purpose pusher, Pastor D, saying, hold on,
Yes.
your change is here.
Hallelujah.
May heaven smile on you. And know this, God doesn't make any junk. God gives gifts to men while you were in your mother's womb. There's a promise keeper, and He intends to keep His promise with you.